kill a general in his bed. Overthrow dictators if they're red. F***ing amen. CIA man. Who can buy a government so cheap? Change a cabinet without
Snappers
a
and
squeak.
Skinners. Snappers and Skinners, oh my. Whoa, 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 put on the brakes, put on the brakes. Welcome, welcome, boys and girls, children of all ages. Hoofties, pufties, bung-eyed heifers, right and left wing wackos, woodchucks and chuckettes, kings and queens of the Northeast Kingdom, to another version of It's News to Us. Okay, thank you. And little dogs too. Get down, little dog. Okay, and you are watching It's News to Us. Thanks, Philo. We're Newport, Vermont's oldest TV news. Watch us now. We got adult themes and adult language, so you're advised. Okay, that's the last warning you're going to get. Kids, put the adults to bed. You watch, you know more than they do anyways. Beware of the Bronze Age invisible sky god. That's right, he's going to come down, beat you and forgive you and beat you free. We're all inclusive here. We cater to men, women, women, men, cisgendered, multigendered, identifying, and bingo for Jesus. That's right, you've turned my father's house into a den of thieves.
Yeah, it became bankers.
And bankers, yeah, the Rothschilds.
Thieves, bankers, what's the difference, right?
Man, oh man, yeah, speaking of which, you should see all this stuff on YouTube. They even have animated stuff on why the American dream's dead, and it goes right back to the Rothschilds and the Federal Reserve, but that's YouTube, that's a whole nother thing. Anyways, oh, and we want to thank one of our viewers. We had some mic problems, and we finally ran it down. And you were right, it was like a ground wire or something, but it's all straightened out now, so the whine should be gone. No more whining. Where do we begin?
No more cheese either.
No more cheese. This is the new Rolling Stone. Now, okay, I'm going to tell you what's going on because the print edition comes out, and then they'll put the article, the story up online. And here's the one I can't believe. It's a story about the siege of Raqqa. And it's funny, Ken Burns is doing that Vietnam thing now on PBS, Philo.
Yep, okay.
And I've been watching it, and the stuff about the Tonkin Gulf, it's just baloney. There was no Tonkin Gulf incident. And trust me, the North Vietnamese did not fire on us. If the North Vietnamese knew that if they'd kept the Americans out of South Vietnam, they would have taken over South Vietnam in 2 years. By 1966, it would have been all commie. But anyways, this is the Siege of Raqqa, and the writer's name is Seth Harp, supposedly. He's an Iraq war vet, so he speaks a little Arabic and Kurdish or whatever.
Oh, boy.
And he got, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar! and he got in here, and oh, here's a good picture. For those of you who are interested in traveling, we can go see downtown Raqqa. Looks lovely, doesn't it, this time of year, Philo?
Lovely indeed.
Yeah. But anyways, it's a good article, and when it should be online probably by next week at rollingstone.com. Speaking of which, Rolling Stone's up for sale. Did you know that?
They what?
The Rolling Stone is up for sale.
Oh, wow. Why don't you buy it?
Yeah. And they just sold the Washington Examiner or something for $1.
Huh.
I mean, newspapers are going down right and left. The Boston Globe didn't get delivered 2 or 3 times last week because of printing problems. I mean, it's the demise of papers, and obviously, like we're seeing with the Burlington paper, it's a death spiral. They don't do the day in court anymore, so we can't find out who's in court, who isn't, you know, how many drunks there are. We used to, every week, remember, week in, week out.
Yep.
We would see fully 1/4 to 1/3 of all the people in court were there for either DUI, DLS, or a combination of both. And yet they
STDs.
Yeah.
Racer's Edge.
Yeah. And the state has the sack to say we have an opiate epidemic. Oh, sure we do, right? Oh, yeah. We don't have a drunk epidemic because we don't keep track of alcohol deaths as alcohol deaths.
Well, the Department of Health does, but they just don't tell you about them.
Well, I'm not sure. It's like those 2 girls that got pulled over in the middle of winter, remember?
Yeah.
And they were both drunk, and the ambulance showed up where they had crashed. And the ambulance, instead of just treating the girls and whatever, calling a tow truck, the ambulance personnel decides to call the police. Well, they hear the police are on the way, so both girls are cocked. They go running. One of them runs off into the woods. The other one runs off onto the ice on the river down there. They still haven't found her body to this day. And so she's running away from the cops, and bang, you know, that's it. So that's a booze death, isn't it?
Well, the thing of it is, I found out that when I was a counselor, if you have someone who's under the influence,
Yep.
and you don't, and you give them a ride, you have to, well, you assume responsibility. Everyone is afraid of being sued.
You were liable, exactly.
Yeah. So that's probably why they call the police, is because everybody's afraid of getting sued now. Instead of doing the right thing, you do the legal thing,
Yeah.
which isn't always right.
Yeah. And I mean, you know, don't get me wrong, there's fault on the girl for leaving the scene and trying to run away. Obviously, that's a problem. But
Yep.
there was no property damage except to the car. So chances are she would have just got a DUI. But, you know, I mean, you're drinking, you're not thinking straight.
Exactly.
But-
I know, been there, done that.
Yeah, but anyways, it seems like we're in Raqqa. You know how Trump said he wasn't going to telegraph his intentions nor any military plans or anything, Philo?
What kind of joke was that?
Well, evidently he did, because there's been a news blackout. We have 14 bases in Syria right now as we speak. 14 of them, okay? And what happened last year, a year ago last July, we helped to try and overthrow Erdogan in Turkey, remember? And he
Yep.
cut the power down to our nuke base there for what, 2-3 weeks, remember?
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah, he cut the power. And what's the name of that air base? I don't know, it'll come to me. But so anyways, so the Turks have had a woody for the Kurds for years and years. So the Turks consider the Kurds a terrorist organization. So what we've been doing is we've been arming the Kurds along with other people, and they have their own oil and stuff too. And they're radical feminists. They're radical feminist, communist, whatever. And here's a picture of them. A lot of their commanders are women. They're called the Rohalva or whatever, something like that. And so basically, with our drones and our satellites, we've got the whole place ringed with artillery, and we launch A-10s out of northern Iraq and Djibouti too, right?
Yeah.
So what happens is these guys on the ground, they get into skirmishes with ISIS, and so they're being bait. They're being used as bait, literally. And once ISIS comes out to chase the Kurds down and fight with them and whatever, they drop their heads, run for cover, and in come the airstrikes and stuff. At one point, the reporter was even chased by an A-10, and all he could hear was the burp, and saw the miniguns going after him. It's, you know, I can imagine how scared that must have been. And anyways, so the Turks won't fire at us, and the Russians won't fire at us. So we're providing an umbrella of support for the Kurds. It's just a nightmare. It's a whole big tribal thing, and it's going to go boom.
Oh, kind of like between the North and the South.
Yeah, exactly. It's a civil war. It's exactly what it is, Philo. Anyways.
I never knew this, but when I worked at the shop, one guy told me it wasn't the Civil War, it was a Silver War.
No, nothing civil about that. It's a war of northern aggression.
Yeah, Silver War. I couldn't believe it.
Oh, good grief. Mr. Malaprop.
That was him.
So now they're using prototype drone jamming radio rifles that have appeared on the battlefield, and a Dutch journalist in Kobani told the reporter that he unpacked his Chinese-manufactured camera drone to find out that it had been factory programmed not to function in Syria.
Oh, nice.
How do you like them apples, huh?
Nice.
Yeah, sure. And so anyways, they hear a buzzing. It's a drone, but ISIS doesn't have an air force, but they've learned to rig cheap off-the-shelf quadcopters with improvised switches capable of dropping 40-millimeter grenades. Every SDF commander, Syrian Democratic Forces commander I spoke with, said that the drones are their biggest problem. They're nearly impossible to spot. Their digital cameras can search out high-value targets like American commandos. Having introduced drones in modern warfare, the U.S. military is now scrambling to defend against them. So anyways, it's just nuts. For now, we can only hope the U.S. military won't repeat the same mistakes they made in Vietnam and Afghanistan and Iraq.
Oh, what mistake was that? We don't make mistakes.
Oh, never. It's like the liquid manure. We never make a mistake.
Boy,
Oh,
we might make a mess, but we don't make a mistake.
Oh, yeah, yeah, and we leave and the mess is still there.
Yeah.
16 years in Afghanistan. What do we got to show for it? Probably $1 trillion.
In debt.
A couple thousand kids dead, hundreds, thousands more injured. Okay, now a couple weeks ago, I did a story about the loons. Remember the loons in New Hampshire? Their eggs aren't hatching and they're dying and disappearing, right?
Yep.
Well, I emailed this girl. God, I forgot her name now. I don't have it here. But anyways, I emailed the girl and she sent me the studies that they had found. And this is what they found. They found in the loon eggs and in the sediment in the streams and stuff around Squam Lake and other lakes in New Hampshire. Now, mind you, these lakes aren't surrounded by farms like we are. Did you see Lake Carmi? I sent you that article about the pea soup. The whole lake shut down, dude.
Yeah.
Algae blooms. Yeah. Next time you eat a pint of Ben & Jerry's, think algae blooms in Franklin County. But anyways, what they found in the loon eggs were PCBs, polychlorinated biphenyls, DDT, dioxins, and furans. Now, furans are called PCDD/Fs. And they also found PBDEs, which are flame retardants, and stain repellents, PFOSs. The DDT sites show that the DDT chemical markers show that these are recent inputs, Philo. This isn't leftover DDT from the 1970s or something.
Huh.
So it's got to be coming from either the lawn care industry, golf courses, or airborne. It's like, what the hell, man? It's not coming from agriculture that they know of. It shows recent input. But anyways, if you go to, it's like Save the Loons or the Loon Preservation Society or whatever. But anyways, oh, I got my, I don't subscribe to The Nation anymore, but I still get it because, you know, let's face it, they're print and they're dying too, right? And
well, everything's going online now.
Yeah, yeah, well, they are online, but I mean, it's not worth even reading online, some of it. But anyways, I love this thing about the Marxist feminist slut in the new article, in the new section here. It's called Asking for a Friend with Liza Featherstone. And if you could see a picture of old Liza, she looks like Eva Solenberger, kind of like a cross between Barbara Streisand and Pee Wee Herman, if you know what I mean.
I didn't want to think of that.
Hoi!
Oh, well.
But anyways,
So much for good news.
yeah, it's a write-in thing like Dear Abby, right?
Dear Scabby,
Yeah. Dear Liza, I'm a 32-year-old woman who would like to have kids and a life partner in the not-so-distant future. And lucky me, I recently started dating an excellent candidate.
oh, a candidate.
Yeah.
Was it Republican or Democrat?
She don't say. It must
No.
be, being a Marxist feminist, she's probably an independent. But I can't even pretend to think it's possible or desirable to have sex with just one person for the rest of my life or even, frankly, a few years. Monogamy feels antithetical to the type of feminism and anti-capitalism I subscribe to. I am repulsed by the idea of being a man's property. Also, monogamy, like capitalism, requires us to believe in false scarcity, that we have to struggle for every little bit and that everything we gain comes at someone else's expense. The kind of liberatory future I'd like to see is one of abundance and generosity and sharing. Ooh, ooh, ooh!
like diseases.
Yeah, like herpes and
Gonorrhea.
syph, the clap, sure. And give the gift that keeps on giving.
Oh, yes.
But all the decent
So
men.
sweet.
Anyways, one of the few places we can experiment with that now is in our love lives.
Oh.
But all the decent men I've dated are really opposed to open relationships. You think? Because he don't want to see that big baseball-sized sore on your lip oozing pus either, honey.
Especially in other regions, too.
Yeah. While men I've slept with who say they fancy the idea don't ever stick around long enough for the relationship part of an open relationship.
Well, guess what? You need to go to Vanna White and buy a clue.
You're a feminist slut, okay? You're a Marxist feminist slut. You even admit it. This leaves me feeling like once I find a partner, the options are 1, cheating, which is crummy, unethical, and a big anxiety-inducing headache. 2, waiting for the mythical one who will magically make me never attracted to anyone else. I'm fairly certain this is a hoax. 3, or retire from my glorious days as a loud, proud slut and gradually wither away inside as I suffocate one of the parts of my life, personality, and politics I cherish most. Please tell me there's another option out there. Signed, a Marxist feminist slut.
Called artificial insemination, dear.
Yeah. You think you want to hook up with a guy who's going to have to deal with your lame butt and then not only that, but he's going to have to pay child support for 18 years because you want to hook up and be a pygmy? Good grief. Yes, there are better options. If you want to live in the noisiest corner of Bushwick and your partner is happiest in rural Tennessee, you might take turns living in each other's locale, finding unexpected delights there. Okay, lovely, lovely. Marxist feminist slut.
She calls herself that?
Yeah. I'll leave the mag here for you.
No, it's okay. If you say it's actually printed that way, then that's the way it's printed, you know?
Yeah, I'm not disparaging anybody. She's identifying as a Marxist feminist slut. We're more than happy to accommodate her on our little show.
I'm not sure that's very nice for Marxists to hear.
Yeah, or the real feminists.
Yeah.
And guess what the factory farms are breeding, Philo?
Parasites.
Yeah, parasites and sea lice. Okay, because all that factory farm salmon. Here's the deal, people. We've known this since time immemorial. We've recently learned it from large confinement operations that have been in existence only for 20 years. And we're seeing that with the manure handling. Because, see, in Europe, Philo, they have a formula where you have X amount of acres and you can only apply X amount of nitrogen on that acreage, right?
Yep. Anything
above that, you get sanctioned. And if you keep being sanctioned, your farm gets shut down, right?
Yep.
Not here. Oh, we're into voluntary compliance and required accepted agricultural practices that aren't even required because there's no enforcement. And we even saw jerk-off Julie Moore over on TV. Oh, and speaking of which, did you see the thing about the Royalton Police Department, Philo?
Nope. You're going to tell us all about it, though.
I don't have anything in because there's nothing in the paper. I should have printed something up from Channel 3.
Should have Googled it.
Well, no, they've been keeping it on the down low. Only Channel 3 came out with a little blip a few nights ago, right?
Huh.
The whole Royalton Police Department has just stopped operating, and the FBI is involved and the DEA because looks like there's a lot of heroin and other stuff missing from their evidence room, Philo.
Huh. Now that's interesting. I would have never thought such a thing.
Yeah, where have we heard that before, boys and girls?
Never, ever. We've never heard that.
Right here in Newport. Yeah, we lost all that evidence out of the Newport room, blamed it on some kid, and then they made him sign a non-disclosure agreement saying he wouldn't talk to the press about it, right?
I guess.
As long as he got a slap on the wrist. And then, when the sheriff's department was moving from the old building, the kids went in there and had a field day. That was some of the best cocaine that ever hit the area came out of their evidence room. Colchester, the whole that place got burnt down by little Tyler Kinney and giving junk to his boyfriend while he was cheating on his female wife. Yeah, I mean, so, you know, You go to WCAX.com and look under like Tuesday, Monday night, I think. They had a blip on it. But they're looking into it. But anyways, back to the farmed fish. So far, it's been an uphill struggle as a threat to the way of life in countries where salmon farming is part of the culture. No, salmon fishing should be part of the culture. And you can't have a bunch of fish penned up without, becoming diseased. It's just that simple. A surge of parasitic sea lice is disrupting salmon farms around the world. The tiny lice attach themselves to salmon and feed on them, killing them or rendering them unsuitable for dinner tables. Meanwhile, the wholesale price of salmon is way up, over 50% higher than consumer prices for everything from salmon fillets and steaks to lox and stuff like that. And get this is how they've been combating this stuff, and yet you never see this because when you buy factory farmed salmon, they don't have to put ingredients in, they just say fish. They don't have to put in ingredients like everybody else does when you buy a packaged item, right, Philo?
Yep.
So, feeding fish a pesticide with the active ingredient of amamacetine benzoate became a tool of choice to control lice. But since 2009, the lice appear to have become resistant to the pesticide, and they've spread globally since. It's spelled E-M-A-M-E-C-T-I-N. Amacetine benzoate. Okay, now if it started failing in 2009, that means everybody that's been eating factory farm salmon for the past 17 years or so has been eating this pesticide in the fish, and they don't even have to label it. Lovely. The industry's key mistake was reacting when the lice evolved to survive it, rather than getting ahead in the game. The efficacy went away with the pressure to create new treatments. Worldwide supply of salmon fell almost 10% last year, with Norway especially hit hard. In Norway, there are hundreds of times more salmon in aquaculture than in the wild, and the fish potentially escape their pens with lice attached and then introduce them to wild fish. Okay then, no problem there. Do we see a problem there?
Nah.
And our drunken Norwegian cousins up there, all they do is get cocked, raise farmed salmon, and go out and kill whales, for crying out loud. The Norwegians and the Japs are like the only two countries that still kill whales.
I don't understand why. They don't need to.
Oh, because they want to, and it's for research, Philo. They just happen to sell the extra meat afterwards.
I mean, what were they killing them for?
Research.
But they don't need the oil like they used to, right?
No. I'm sure there are some watchmakers and a few other people, who actually like the oil, and they sell it as, supplements and stuff like that. But I guess the whale meat's a delicacy, according to the Japs.
Huh.
Anyways.
I don't know. I can't think of any reason I'd want to eat it.
Yeah, so they're escaping to the wild. Norwegian farmers are looking to use new closed-in pens that resemble giant eggs instead of mesh pens. Scottish farmers have deployed a device known as a thermolyser to warm the waters and detach the lice from the fish. Great. So they're in Scotland, they're allowing the lice to live on the fish, and then they heat them up before they kill them to get rid of the lice so that the consumers don't see them. Okay, yeah, ain't we something? Have dominion over the earth, said God. Yeah. And farmers in North America and Europe are experimenting with using species of cleaner fish to coexist with the salmon and eat the lice. Research about farming salmon along with mussels to eat the larval sea lice is underway. And their underwater drones are at the other end using lasers to zap the lice and kill them. Unbelievable.
I don't believe it.
Yeah, sure. Just, for every solution, there's a fresh problem. And get this. Couple sue over search at Vermont crossing, right? They took away this woman's phone, this Akbar, when she was coming back. They live in Massachusetts, her and her Akbar hubby. Okay, here's Akbar number 2 right there. He's the one with I Love Beekeeper suits on t-shirt.
I don't know why the men don't have to wear them.
Well, that's because the men own the women. The men tell the women what to do. The women have to submit. That's what Islam means, submit. So anyways,
Our Bible says the same thing, but we just don't follow it.
Yeah, exactly, except for the Orthodox Jews.
Exactly.
So anyways, she's suing the Border and Customs Patrol because her daughter was sick, and they're like, let's get out of here, keep the phone, whatever. So they kept the phone and mailed it back to her. But her biggest, get this, her biggest complaint was that they felt violated and humiliated. The Al-Assads, who were traveling with an 11-year-old daughter, observed an officer searching her unlocked phone after being ordered into secondary, 42 complaint. When she objected, let's see, after 5 hours in detention, our officers ordered Nadia Al-Assad, a nursing student, to provide a password for her locked phone. When she objected, because the phone had photos of herself and her daughters without wearing headscarves, she said the officers told them the phone would have to be confiscated if she didn't provide a password. So then she wrote down the password, and they were going to remain for several hours, but she screwed and said, mail it to me. But anyways, her big objection was because there were pictures of her daughter not wearing scarves, right? Now, what is this picture on this page showing, Philo?
Huh.
Both of her daughters not wearing scarves.
Right.
Okay. Allahu Akbar.
Admiral Akbar is rolling over in his spaceship,
I'll tell you.
isn't he?
And you know how they have that thing, I am an American,
And so
every
can you.
week, week in and week out now? I'm an American. We are one nation. Well,
Bull crap.
this woman's kid got committed suicide after coming back from Afghanistan, right?
Yep.
And she started a foundation for suicide prevention, but yet she won't ask the question. She's ex-Air Force herself. How about asking the question, why are we there? What did those kids see? Who were they made to kill? And how do a bunch of goat ropers threaten our freedom? Why don't you ask the questions, woman? Ask the damn questions. These kids are coming back so screwed up, they're either forced or made to kill civilians, and that's why their heads are on sideways, or like in Afghanistan, they have to watch little boys being buggered and put up with it because they're not allowed to even complain about the locals buggering boys. They're Bukashi boys or whatever they're called anymore. Oh yeah, if you go to complain to your superior officer, they say, look, it's a cultural thing, you just have to live with it.
Hey, I did see something encouraging though.
Yeah?
Yeah, over in Iran, they publicly hung a guy who raped and murdered a 7-year-old or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, did you see that?
I heard something about it.
Yeah, I read about it today. Yeah, they publicly hung him.
Yeah, in Iran, justice is like swift. And they're Shiites, so they're not quite as whacked as the Saudis, but they're still wacky.
Yeah.
But they're Persians, they're not Arabs. And here we are, graffiti jam held at Connecticut State Park. And why do Hispanics not have checking accounts, Philo?
Why is that?
Because they don't make checks big enough to sign with a spray can.
Hmm.
And look at that girl, isn't she sweet? Looking good, honey.
I don't have any words for this.
Looking good, man.
I don't have any words for this.
And why don't they give them an airbrush? Instead of filling the air with chemicals and solvents, why don't they give them a little compressor and an airbrush like real artists use, Philo? And you could use non-toxic paints and stuff like that, but no, they give them spray cans like they use in the city. You know, these people are like dogs, okay? You see what a dog does to a fire hydrant? These people do the same thing with walls, trucks, and trains. They have to whiz on them. And say, Abdul was here or whatever. Oh, here we are. Week in, week out, push the booze. That's right, here we go. We started again, Philo. We've gone from summer when you need a beer to Oktoberfest when you need more beer. That's right, push it. Push the booze, week in, week out. Here's another one. And, you know, and it's just sad. Here's the other one for the kids. The cops are drunk too. Is Andy Capp, that's right, Andy Capp, comics right next to the comics for kids. And there's drunk old Andy talking to a cop, right? And what does Andy say to the cop? Evening, Alan. Alan, the cop, says, there was terrible trouble at the Dog and Duck last night, Andy. Tell me more. The cop says, never seen anything like it. Glasses flying, tables overturned, people thrown through windows. And what does Andy say to the cop, Philo?
Typical night.
That's a police reunion for you, Alan. Ho, ho, ho. Meaning the cops are drunks too. Oh, ho, 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 ho.
Did you see in London they're shutting down? They're not letting bars stay open all night now on the weekends.
Yeah.
They're shutting them down, what, 2 o'clock or 3 o'clock, and not letting them stay open 24 hours.
Wait till the Akbars take over. There won't be any bars, Philo.
Yes. We'll just have other problems.
Yeah, yeah. We'll just have, you know, raping women who are Christian women and stuff like that because it says you can in the Quran. And here we are.
But you can't drink.
No. Tourism
drinking.
spending in Vermont by month. November Love. This is our friend Art Wolf. He has a column. He's full of wolf shits. And he's got so much wolf shits that he spreads a weekly column every weekend, right? And he talks about the drunkies, the beer, wine, and drinks. It's a death economy, Philo. Get this. Spending and state tax revenue from tourists are higher in the 4 summer months, June through September, than the 4 winter months. November provides a baseline. It's most likely it's business travelers, not tourists. October is more than twice the November level, and spending on beer, wine, and drinks is 1/3 higher in October than November's low point. Adding the numbers together suggests that leaf peeping brings in at least $51 million in revenue to Vermont's restaurant, bars, and motels. Great. Come on up and get cocked, you know? Now, last but not least, here's another one. Enjoy Sips scenery in New York's Finger Lakes region. Now, you can go up to the Finger Lakes and see Hammondsport and Penyan and stuff like that, and you don't have to drink at all, but it's definitely worth the trip, man, I'm telling you. They have the Glenn Curtis Museum over in Hammondsport, Philo.
Yeah.
Curtis Wright, he hooked up together with the Wright brothers later on, but Glenn Curtis had the fastest land speed record, the fastest motorcycle record. He built some of the finest planes on the planet, and they got a beautiful museum over there. And I'm telling you, it's cheap. You don't have to spend a lot of money, and it's beautiful. If you ever get a chance to go to the Finger Lakes, do it. You don't have to drink a damn drop. Oh, and here we are, the Walk to End Alzheimer's. Here's another thing, okay? They've known for years. They're not sure what it is, whether it's THC, CBD, CBN, but something in weed prevents you from getting Alzheimer's. But yet, will they tell you that yet? Will they allow more research? Oh, hell no.
I was reading an article today about CBD, and it's supposed to be good for arthritis.
Wicked.
And I need that. I got it in my hip really bad.
Yeah, you can, I'll tell you what, Terry, get the, right at the natural food store. I got to get some on the way home. It's usually in the refrigerator, but they have that hemp oil.
Yep.
There's absolutely no THC in it at all. But you can, I put it on bread, just like olive oil.
Is that the CBD stuff?
Yeah, it's got CBD in it too.
That's all I want is that one, because that's what's supposed to relieve arthritis pain.
Yeah, it's like $9, $9 for a 1 ounce bottle, or I don't know, 5-6 ounce bottle or whatever.
That's bigger than 6 ounces. That's like 3 or 4 pounds there.
No, it's about I figure it holds about 8 shots, right? Something like that.
Oh, okay.
So, and you can get the bottle. I had a little divot, you know, it was like precancerous, some skin lesion or something. And every night I would put some of that hemp oil on there. And eventually the thing just fell right off, Philo.
So, is it an oil, or is it a pill, or how do you take it? You rub it on, or do you drink it?
It's an oil. I'd rub it on the bippy itself, and it disappeared. And then I eat it. I put it on bread when I make a sandwich. The only thing you can't do with it is cook with it, because once you heat it up, the good stuff goes away.
Yeah. Well, I just wondered if you have like arthritis in your back or something.
Yeah, you can rub it, use it topically, or and eat it orally. I'll have to pick you up some, or it's in the. If you can't find it, it's in that old-fashioned refrigerator they got over there.
I'll have to. I can research it.
Yeah, look at this.
Synthetic opioids. Who's heard of such a thing?
Now get this. This is fake news. The picture tells the whole story, right, Philo? It says they're talking about how they use dogs at the JFK mailing center to interdict packages from overseas, right?
Yep.
And then you look at the picture. It says Customs and Border Protection prohibited import narcotics, marijuana, Schedule 1, right? And then right next to it, prohibited controlled substance, carfentanil, the elephant tranquilizer. That is Schedule 2. Fentanyl, Schedule 2. Oxycodone is only like Schedule 2 or 3. And yet, you know, the whole article's saying, what, oh yeah, this is horrible, it's an epidemic and everything. Yet the picture shows their number one priority is weed. Because it's Schedule 1. It's insane. They're testing 1 million packages a day, blah, blah, blah. They've got handheld lasers and fentanyl detecting dogs. One box contained a bottle of date rape drug known as GBL. Another was stuffed with 10 kilos of an erectile dysfunction drug from India.
Yes, what kind of camel was that?
Yeah, man, that monkey, ever since I fed that monkey that stuff, he's everywhere. He's bouncing off the walls.
Evidently.
The newly trained dogs have tracked down a level of 64 confirmed fentanyl packages since 2017, yada, yada, yada. But again, the picture tells the story. Here's the headline, of course. Opioid war rages in JFK mailroom. Thanks, Philo. Oh, yeah. Oh, it's a war and it's raging. Yet weed is Schedule 1 with no known medical applications. What a joke, okay? That's why people think the war on drugs is a joke, because we know it's a joke. You've been lying to us since 1971.
And longer.
Oh, longer, yeah, since 1937, actually. And here it is. Here's another one. Husband is put off by his wife's former life. Oh, sure. Hey, dummy, you know what? It don't wear out. It washes off with soap and water. So she had some fun when she was a kid. It was 18 years ago, you fool. Get this.
Is that another Dear Scabby column?
Yeah. Dear Abby, you won't believe this. My stomach makes noises whenever I kiss. Dear Annie, my wife and I have been together since we were just out of high school. We've been married for 18 years, got 3 wonderful kids. We have a great relationship, but I recently discovered she was extremely promiscuous in high school and found out she slept with many of our friends, some who are still in our social circle. I've always had a jealous nature, and now the jealousy is overwhelming my daily thoughts, especially when we see these other guys. Although the encounters happened before I was with her, I still feel cheated on and don't look at her the same way I once did. I haven't brought it up with her because she'll get super defensive, and I know she won't go to counseling because of the nature of the topic. I do love her and want to be with her. Jealous in Wisconsin.
That tells you the story. If you voted in Scott Walker as your governor, no wonder you're so damn neurotic. And Paul Ryan, you elect him as your senator. What does that tell you about your state?
Yeah, and they're rhinos to begin with. They're not even real Republicans. They're just reactionary fascists.
So, your problem with an 18-year-old, something that happened 18 years ago, guy, grow up, will you please?
Yeah, it's getting to be too much.
Grow up.
Dear Jealous, your wife is still looking at you with the same eyes.
Maybe the stink eye now.
Yeah. And if she knew you now look at her differently from 20 years ago, she'd be heartbroken. So don't tell her, you idiot. That's me.
Paraphrasing here a little bit, folks.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Unbelievable.
Oh, my gosh. These people are whacked. You know that?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, and I'm telling you, half of these people are on the crap. They're on SSRIs, and some of them on heavy doses. And that's what happens to some people. Not all people. Some people the stuff works great for. Other people have suicidal thoughts, ideation. They dwell on unimportant stuff. And speaking of unimportant stuff, here we are. Exhibit allows virtual interview with Holocaust survivors. Oh, well, you know, we're speaking of asking the question, we never asked the question, why did all of Europe hate the Jews and the gypsies and the queers and the commies?
Oh, don't forget the Jehovah's Witnesses.
And and the Jehovah's Witnesses too. Well, that I could almost agree with them, Philo.
Almost, but we're not going to agree.
They should have been marched to the ovens, you know?
Yeah.
And this wasn't the first time. If you look back in history in 1492, when Columbus left, it was because of an edict that all the Jews had to be out of Spain by like sundown on the day he left, man. We got another Skinner in the Air Force, and he got an honorable discharge, Philo.
Really?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, honorable my ass. They condoned skinning. He was 24, he was 25, and he was boning a 14-year-old girl in another state. Nick Murphy of Exeter pled guilty to federal charges of traveling from Rhode Island to Plainfield while on leave to have sex with a 14-year-old girl. Yet he convinced the Air Force that he thought she was 16 years old, so he got a dishonorable discharge. The military considers a mistake of fact as to age to be an affirmative defense, according to sentencing memorandum.
Okay.
So all you have to say, hey kid, so all you have to say is, I thought she was 16, and you're off the hook. You get an honorable discharge. All righty then. No problem there. Unbelievable. There was never anything to lead me to believe she was younger than 16. She certainly didn't look under 16, either in person or her pictures on Facebook. She was also very open and forward in talking about sexual things and spoke like someone who was much older. Facebook again.
That's why I don't get on it, and I don't want to get on it.
Oh yeah, and that was one of Hillary's excuses, dude. She's trying to blame these bots and ads that Ivan the Russians put on Facebook, right? Here's a clue. Us older people who value our privacy, okay, we know about computers. We've had computers, I wrote my first computer program in 1975, okay? Now, we've been around computers forever. We stay off of Facebook because it's a giant info suck, and anybody with any sense, oh, this is when Sharky gets hooked up with a black girl, and he digs it.
She's cute.
So anyways, we stay off of Facebook. And it doesn't matter. People voted for Trump because they hated Hillary. It's just that simple. And you know what? They were making fun of Trump's big giant bubblegum butt. You know, that picture of him playing tennis with that big butt hanging out of his shorts, right, Philo?
Well, it's big.
Oh, yeah. Well, I saw Hillary on Colbert last night. My God, speaking of butt, I thought he was going to get down and kiss that big thing.
Well, you know what? She said that after she lost the election, she went on a binge of eating and drinking.
It shows.
Yeah. And you know what? Lady, you know, when your butt gets big, you know, everybody knows what you've been doing. You know,
I'll tell you
really.
what, it looked like she had 2 pillows strapped to her waist. Mm-hmm. I mean, when she sat down, she was a foot higher because that butt was so big. And here we are. Suspect in Bede's death has a change of plea hearing.
That's one cute black girl. Do you know that?
Yeah.
She's cute.
Yeah, that's it. You know, they mention that this transsexual or transvestite or whatever it was, that bum had poured a bottle full of whiz in these other guys' tent, and that's why it got beat up. You know, some things are self-inflicted. If you didn't want to get your ass beat, okay, now there's no excuse for getting your butt beat, but damn it, man, if you take a bottle of whiz and put it in somebody's, where they're sleeping in their tent or on their bed, you think you'd get angry about something like that, Philo?
Oh, we just might.
Oh, yeah. Oh, no, they won't beat me because I'm a transsexual.
Oh, by the way, I sent you another email. Is it Wheaton College, this Christian university?
Yeah.
Five guys are up for a hazing incident where they beat the crap out of this kid and left him on the baseball field half naked. They literally broke both of his shoulders.
And there's another hazing death in what, Alabama, due to alcohol or something?
A Christian university.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
And you know what this stupid female reporter had to say?
Oh, God.
We know that hazing is going to be a part of college life. It's bonding for men and women both. Oh,
No.
God.
No.
Give me a break, lady, will you?
Stop it. It ended 20 years ago.
This
Fool.
wasn't even a fraternity or a sorority. It was a football team.
Oh, and speaking of Jesus freaks, Philo, you're right on time with that one. Okay, we got to put on our Popey Dopey hat. That's right, because remember, there are still two popes. We got the Popey and the Co-Popey. Homino domini domini domini, all you kiddies drop you pants. We got the Hitler Jugend Popey, and then we got the Co-Popey who drive around the world in his little Pope-mobile. UVM student dies in rock climbing fall. That's right. The Jesus freak, well, she's going to get to meet Jeebus in person right away. Evidently, either her climbing gear failed or she didn't do it. I don't know. It's investigating it. Ryan's mother described her as an adventurous young woman, deeply committed to her faith. Yep, I believe in an invisible 2,000-year-old Jew. I have faith in the 2,000-year-old Jew. And here we are. What this has to do with news, I don't know, man. This is from Sunday's paper. Why is this news? A guy in a dress, this is news? Oh, that's right. Suffer the children, said Jesus. Suffer not the children, bring them to me. Suffer them, suffer them. Ooh, ooh, ooh. And here we got some more fake news, Philo. You know how much we love fake news on this program, right?
Yeah, sure, why not?
Health industry frets about DACA's fate. You know what? No. Send them all home. Give them the Steve Blake treatment. Steve Blake was a reporter who lived up here. He grew up in like St. Jay, went to school in Vermont, went to university in the U.S. He was a reporter and all this other stuff. And then one day we were at a board meeting here and he was gone. He was just gone. Everybody's all like, what happened to Blake? They deported him back to Canada because he was, in reality, he had never been naturalized. So he got sent home. There was no DACA for his butt.
By the way, I saw him at Derby Line Days.
This recently?
Yeah. When did they have that? July? You remember when the J thing went on? Whenever J Day was? Well, they have one up in Derby Line, and I saw him up there, and I talked to them for a while. Yeah, he's doing okay.
Well, next time you see him, try and get his contact info, because I want to find out what happened to him.
He's working for the newspaper in Sherbrooke.
In Sherbrooke, you're there.
Yeah. He's doing fine.
And you have to learn French up there.
Not him.
Anyways.
So he didn't learn it.
Fake news. They go on and on and on about this stuff, yet buried in the back of the article, they say, no firm statistics exist. Okay, then. Okay, and guess who the writer of the article, what her name is, Philo? Carmen Heredia Rodriguez. And she meant Jennifer Rodriguez, friendly face and bits of broken English where their Spanish is familiar. Rodriguez, 28, works at a psych facility in Elkhart, Indiana, and interpreting for clients isn't in her job description, but her boss sometimes tells her to say no when she's overwhelmed. But I would never do that to my people. She arrived from Goshen, Indiana from Mexico when she was 3, no recognition of her birthplace and no documents to prove she belonged in the nation she now calls home. There are documents, okay? In Mexico, speaking of religious wackos and Jesus freaks, these people are more superstitious than the Irish, okay? Mexican Catholics, they will not let a kid go unbaptized because they're so scared that if anything happens to that kid before they get baptized, if they got killed or run over or something before they got baptized, they would go straight to hell. So you can be guaranteed that somewhere at a church in, where is it, Guadalajara or whatever she came from, that somewhere in a church in Mexico there is a baptismal certificate that lists her date of birth and where she's from.
Absolutely.
Oh yeah. Oh, you know, we got no documents, you know. Well, no documents, go on home. And then take your relatives with you. We're full up. We don't have jobs for our own people and our own kids. It's just that simple. God almighty, man. Yeah, way in the back. Way in the back. Oh, yeah. Dacazenne could also have a large impact on the country's ability to care for patients in a culturally sensitive matter. Oh, you mean people coming here might actually have to speak English? Oh, how insensitive of me, Philo.
Huh. Fancy that, will you?
I mean, I learned to speak Spanish when I lived in Mexico. It was a courtesy, and I had Spanish in school, and I wanted to learn it because that's what everybody was speaking, and I didn't want to be left out. Sure, there were English TV stations I could get from San Diego, and English radio I could get from LA and San Diego, but no, I wanted to learn the language of the country where I was staying in. But not these people. Oh, how insensitive of us, you bore. You know, a nation of diversity in our workforce should reflect that, said Mosley. And dissolving DACA is a step backwards. Oh, sure. Let's see, personal care existence, yada, yada. No firm, here we are, buried in the back, no firm statistics exist showing how many of these gimme grunts, known as dreamers, work in the healthcare sector, but industry leaders suggest that Dacazenne could have an impact, especially among medical students and home health aides. Oh, could, we expect, maybe, might. We don't have any statistics. We don't even know how many of these people are employed. Oh, God, it's unbelievable. And here we are with the Equifax thing. That's right, mistakes were made. You know, if you got a suit and tie, you fly, okay? But if it was you or I, it'd be goodbye, man. We'd be off to jail for releasing Social Security numbers and all that other good stuff. You know, never. Oh, and Cassini crashed into Saturn. It was a 6-year trip to get there. It spent 13 years studying the planet. And, excuse me, they crash landed it right into Saturn.
Well, I bet it's not in one piece anymore.
No, it's let bygones be bygones.
Really gone.
Oh, and Grumpy Grampy likes trannies, that's right. Senator John McCain, a.k.a. Brain Damage, said he's backing a bill that would bar Trump from forcing trannies out of the military. Oh, sure. No, it's not that we don't want him in the military. You can stay in the military. You just keep it on the down low and don't expect us to pay multi-million-dollar elective surgeries if you want to get an addictomy or a removadectomy. Spacecraft sent data back to Earth until its demise. Yeah, that's it. 76,000 miles an hour when it landed. Let's see, scientists, they got 600 gigabytes worth of data. It's been collected since it arrived in Saturn in 2004, 6.5 years after they launched it. And it was a European Huygens probe on the back. It wasn't just NASA, but they were involved. JPL was involved in designing it and seconding. Oh yeah, demolition accident killed a Green Beret in Fort Bragg. And here's another one. Get this. What you need to know. Oh yeah. Yeah, you know what the FAIR stands for? You know, the FAIR, the FAIR credit reports, Philo?
No.
It stands for Fair Isaac. Hoy! Isaac will tell you if your credit's good or not. Yeah, Isaac says your credit sucks. And there he is right there. Hoy! Fair Isaac is an old Hebe. That's insane. How do I know if I was affected? Well, either that way, the company's offering free ID theft insurance, so of course, third-party credit monitoring for a fee, credit report, and other services. You'll have to officially sign up for them after checking to see if you might be affected. If you do sign up, you're not relinquishing your right to sue Equifax or be compensated through a settlement. They're still trying to determine how many people were invented. FICO, that's what it is. It's not FAIR. It's FICO, your FICO score. Fair Isaac Corporation. Hey, hey, hey! Oh, and here we are. Leave that camera on for a second, Philo. Here's one. Do I look like a guy in a wig? You know what?
What? What the heck is that?
Oh, that's the head of the teachers union.
And what is the name?
Fran something.
Oh.
Fran Brock, I think. Do I look like a guy in a wig? Don't answer that. And here's another one. Head of our education.
Well, this lady isn't too bad looking.
Here's an education, our head of education right here. Do I look like a guy in a wig and a dress? Don't answer that. And speaking of fellow, here's C. Dick. No more Dick. Now see Jane. That's right. If you want to use Ebonics, you can say Bradley B. What's her name? Bradley B. Chelsea.
Harvard Scraps Manning Fellowship. What's that?
Yeah, it's like Susan B. Anthony. Susan now B. Anthony.
Oh.
Yeah, well they called this perv a whistleblower. You know, we got freedom of speech here. I've had it. Morons, psychopaths, mental defectives, you know, deviates and whatever, you know. I'm all done with the LGBTQRIA, CP30, RU12.
Darth Vader.
Yeah, Harvard University reversed its decision to name Chelsea Manning a visiting fellow because it's not a fellow anymore. It's a feller, or what would you call it?
Fell off.
Fellow. Yeah, kind of like what we used to do with sheep with their tails and their sacks with elastic bands when I was a kid. You're no longer a fellow. It fell off. Good one, Philo.
I thought. I remember Archie Bunker. He says, "I thought of that on the spine of the moment."
Yeah.
Remember that?
This doing to the moment. Oh yeah. Sure, it hurt. Try cutting off your own junk. You know. It says, Harvard University reverses the decision and named Chelsea Manning a visiting fellow early Friday, a day after CIA Director Mike Pompeo scrapped a planned appearance over a title for the soldier who was convicting of leaking classified information. Now, you wanna, there's that stupid blow-up doll. You want to talk about leaking why Hillary didn't get elected? Here is part of the reason right here. All these State Department memos, if you go to WikiLeaks like we did, okay, when all this stuff came up, some of us old geezers went out and went to WikiLeaks to find out what was leaked. And we found out that Hillary was operating a pay-to-play thing. If you gave money to the Clinton Foundation, then Monsanto or whatever, you could get, you know, free reign and in for your company, and the State Department would help you out. Blame Manning, man. It wasn't just a collateral damage video, collateral warfare, or collateral murder. That's the name of it. It's still on YouTube.
You have to say hi to Admiral Akbar. He's now in the building.
All right. 29-year-old Manning is a transgender woman who is known as Bradley, leaking a trove of classified information. Oh,
Once again.
That's right. Okay. And last but not least, all these jerk off Julie at A&R. That's right. She's over there looking at the algae blooms. Suu Kyi, evasive on Rohingya cleansing. And you know what? It's not ethnic cleansing. It's called religious relocation, because even the Buddhists have figured out that the Muslims are taking over, and that once the Muslims take over, that you'll never get your country back. And last but not least, look at pirate equity. They're talking about Toys R Us. Toys R Us was stripped and clipped by firms like Romney's. You got a company that's got plenty of money. What they do is they come in, Philo, and they do a hostile takeover, and then they take all the money, give themselves bonuses, load up the company with debt, and that's it. Well, once again, you wasted a perfectly good wife watching the stupid show, and hopefully we'll see you again next week, inshallah. And until then, get down on your hands and knees, wave the flies away, sniff the bum of the guy in front of you, and go, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar!
Magnus says Scientia.
Yes, Mackie.
Who can kill a general in his bed? Overthrow dictators if they're red. Fucking amen. CIA man. Who can buy a government so cheap? Change cabinet without a squeak. Amen. CIA man. Who can train gorillas by the dozens? Send them out to kill their untrained cousins. Amen. CIA man. Who can get a budget that's so great? Who will be the 51st state? Who has got this?